Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. We have a trilogy fight this weekend between two terrific fighters, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez and Juan Francisco Estrada. They have fought twice before. They are one apiece, but I must be honest, I must say that I feel Chocolatito won the rematch, and Estrada, as terrific a fighter as he is, was a little bit lucky to get that decision. I thought Chocolatito edged it, but no, I think I can't remember what I had it, 115, 113, something like that. But let's not dwell on that. They're one apiece officially. The 32-year-old Estrada is coming in, having had one fight following that March 2021 rematch with Chocolatito. He fought RG Cortez and won a very close but unanimous decision. Now, if I remember, there was a 115, 113, 114, 113. It was very, very close. I can't remember the exact scores. And Cortez was someone who was really untested. Cortez, only 27, Mexican fighter, came in. He had some reasonable wins against guys with decent records, but he wasn't expected to give Estrada any problems, and he did. He did give him problems. Even though he was flawed in the 7th round, he was landing good punches. He was troubling Estrada. He was making Estrada fight out of his comfort zone. Estrada wasn't allowed to have any to get into a set rhythm. I think Estrada won that fight over the second half. I mean, like I say, he floored Cortez in the 7th round. But I do think that it was a tough night at the office for Juan Francisco Estrada. However, that may have left him a little bit battle-hardened. That's a phrase I've been using quite a lot lately, but you know what I mean? Mentally ready for Chocolatito, because he's had to go into those trenches. He certainly did in the rematch with Gonzalez as well. But the tough fight, is good preparation very often for, going in there against an even bigger challenge. And very often we see fighters and they have a sort of questionable or less than stellar performance, and then they go in against a better opponent and they really perform, because that less than stellar performance where they were in trouble and they were forced to fight, they were forced to show some mental fortitude as well as physical ability, that can actually prepare you. It's a good dress rehearsal for a big event, and God knows this third fight with Chocolatito is a very big event for Estrada. Really, you could say it's a legacy-defining fight, because if he has 2 wins over Chocolatito, that looks enormously impressive. At the moment, this is Estrada I'm talking about. He's got 43 wins with 28 KOs, 3 defeats. All those defeats have been on points, and he lost to Triskat Sorongvasai in 2018, I want to say. He lost to Chocolatito back in 2012, 10 years ago, believe it or not. And then they had the rematch, 2021, March 2021. So, a long time, and 9 years after the original fight, they fought again. And I think he lost a unanimous 8-round decision to a guy whose name escapes me. I'd have to look on BoxRec. I don't know what the guy's name was, but that was early on in his career, 2011. And he gradually built, a really stellar career. He's a come-forward fighter, very, very tough. Likes to sort of drag people into the trenches, has no problem with being in the trenches. And in the second fight with Gonzalez, he tried to do that to Gonzalez, but of course Gonzalez, an absolute master boxer. In my opinion, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez is one of the best fighters I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I'm in my mid-50s now, so I put him right up there. He's 35 at the moment, okay? And he had, in 2022, back in March, he had this exemplary performance against Julio Cesar Martinez. Martinez was moving up. Martinez is an extremely powerful, hard-hitting, industrious guy who will crawl all over you and sap your strength, and he couldn't do a thing with Chocolatito. Now, you can argue that the style of Martinez was built for Chocolatito. It was bread and butter for him. But nevertheless, the way Chocolatito performed back in, March of this year was absolutely magnificent. I mean, his footwork was superb. He punch picking, his ring IQ, everything about it was just wonderful. To the point where Julio Cesar Martinez, who had looked like a real threat, at least from his career leading up to that fight, he almost said, "Oh, the hell with this." It was almost a no match, or Roberto Duran against Leonard in the rematch sort of thing. It was like, I think between rounds or at the end of the 6th or the 7th, he went back to his corner, and his body language, his facial expression he was just exasperated. What am I going to do with this guy? But Chocolatito, as we know, has performed up to that level, should we say, repeatedly throughout his career. He's a magnificent fighter, a 4-weight champion, belt holder, if you like. I don't think he's ever been undisputed at any of those weights, but nevertheless, most people, the consensus is that he has been the best at many of those weights. He's come back from adversity, which is something I always love to see in a fighter. In 2017, he lost his unbeaten record, a majority decision to Srisakat Sorungvasai. And in the rematch, which was the same year, the first one was in March, second one was, I think, September, he got flattened in 4 rounds. And he didn't cry about it, but he said, I had a bereavement out of the ring. I had issues out of the ring which affected me. People wrote him off, said, "Oh, you're too old now, mate. You're in your 30s. You're." This was 5 years ago, 2017. They said, "Oh, you're finished. You're finished. You can come back. You can probably beat a few people, but you're not going to be the fighter you were, simply because you're getting older." Because Chocolatito at the moment is 35, and when you hit 30, 32, you kind of get dismissed at those lower weights. But he came back after that Sorungvasai knockout, 4-round knockout, and he had 4 fights, including the win over Kaliafai, where he stopped him in 9 rounds and picked up the WBA world title. And he beat other people, Israel Gonzalez. That was a unanimous decision. But in the rematch with Estrada, he definitely showed flashes of the old brilliance. And again, I think he did beat Estrada. Close-ish fight, but I definitely thought it was 2 points ahead for Chocolatito. He didn't get the decision. Again, some people against Martinez were saying no. Julio Cesar Martinez, a younger fighter, only 26, 27, Mexican, tough guy, really rampaging sort of fighter. Chocolatito's there for the taking. He wasn't. He absolutely was not. Chocolatito can handle pressure, mental and physical. He doesn't mind if you're a rampaging cavalier type of fighter, comes towards you, slings loads of punches. He doesn't care about that. He's capable of containing you and gradually dissecting you, like all brilliant boxers. And make no mistake about it, Chocolatito is a brilliant, brilliant fighter. Just wonderful to watch. One of my favourites. If I was a boxing trainer, or if I had, say, a son who wanted to be a boxer, I'd say, watch this guy. That's one of the guys I would say, watch him. Watch his feet, as well as his fists. His balance, his poise, the way he holds his shape, the way he picks his punches, chooses his punches. Marvellous stuff. Marvellous ring IQ. So, all things considered, are we going to pick Estrada, a come-forward slugger, tough guy, not crude in any way? I'm not saying when I call him a slugger, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's all he's got. He's got some skills as well, make no mistake about that. Very, very talented guy, but extremely tough. Are we going to pick him? Or are we going to pick the 51 wins and 3 defeats, 41 wins by KO or stoppage? Are we going to pick Chocolatito? For me personally, I think Chocolatito wins this fight. I think he's going to soak up a bit of punishment. He's probably going to be marked up at the end. But I'm picking Chocolatito to outbox and at times even outfight, or at least contain Estrada's aggression to the point where it's an even balance. I think Chocolatito will do that. He might have a cut. He might even get floored. Might get scuffed and roughed up around the eyes. But I think, tough guy that he is, great fighter that he is, he will beat the very talented Juan Francisco Estrada about 116, 112, maybe a 115, 113. I don't think it will be controversial. I think most people will say, yep, Chocolatito won that fight. But let's not disrespect Estrada either. Great fighter. But I think Chocolatito will just have a bit too much. The time off that he's had, I mean, well, actually, they both had time off, haven't they? because the Martinez fight was in earlier this year. And Estrada's fight against Cortez was, it was certainly this year. I can't remember when was it. I can't remember. It wasn't that long ago. It was about 4 or 5 months. I want to say August, September time maybe. Yeah, I just think Chocolatito will have a little bit too much. But anyway, who are you picking? What do you think? What do you think of these fighters? I think they're both great fighters, future Hall of Famers. Certainly Chocolatito. Let me know your opinions. Leave your opinions below in the comments. I love reading them. Like the video if you liked it, and if you're new to the channel, you could subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button. It takes a second, costs you nothing. I'd really appreciate that too. Thank you for listening. I hope you're having a great weekend. We've got some good fights today. And yeah, I'll see you again sometime. Until then, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye for now.